Bitcoin is a big idea, and with all big ideas come big questions like, why is Bitcoin so expensive? Am I too late to Bitcoin? So today, let's break down Bitcoin adoption using simple terms. So with any new technology, we can evaluate the phase of adoption we're in using two different metrics. We can think of Bitcoin adoption in terms of population, and we can think of Bitcoin adoption in terms of valuation, or the value that Bitcoin provides. With the adoption of any new technology, you have a bell curve or percentage of the population. So the first 2.5% are considered the innovators. The next 13.5% are considered the early adopters. The next 34% are considered the early majority. So this is when a technology really starts to catch on and become popular, like the iPhone or the internet. The next 34% are considered the late majority, and the last 16% are considered the super late adopters or the laggards. So this adoption curve applies to any new technology, and so we can use this metric to try to evaluate where we are in the adoption curve. In the US, roughly 15% of adults own Bitcoin, so that would put us in the early adopters phase with a lot more adoption to come. Now we can also think about Bitcoin adoption in terms of valuation, in terms of Bitcoin price or market capitalization. So for valuation, we'll use the S-curve. The S-curve is a pattern that's played out in countless technologies, from the radio to the internet to the adoption of the iPhone. You start out slow, expensive. As the technology improves, it gets cheaper to produce, more people pile in, and then eventually the technology taps out and kind of flatlines as far as its value. Now, when people look at Bitcoin price over $100,000, they think that must be really expensive. But if we look at Bitcoin adoption in terms of the bell curve, under 15% adoption, if we apply that same 15% to the S-curve, then we can start to realize exactly how early we are in the potential valuation for Bitcoin. When we're evaluating Bitcoin adoption, we can use the bell curve and the S-curve to find out what phase we're in. And that's Bitcoin adoption put simply.